Instead of focusing on winning arguments, we're teaching the basic fundamentals of sales and marketing and how we can use them to win in the world of politics, teaching you how to meet people where they're at on the issues they care about. Welcome to The Brian Nichols Show.
What's up there, folks? Happy Monday. Brian Nichols here on The Brian Nichols Show. Thank you for joining us on, of course, another fun-filled episode. You're in this whole world of crypto, and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, maybe do I want to just take the existing cash I have now and put it into different crypto, or just want to have my income directly from my employer go into crypto? We're going to talk about that with today's guest, but before we go ahead and get there, want to go ahead and give a shout out to today's sponsor. And you've heard from them recently. It is the Expat Money Show. Here, let me go ahead and get this pulled up here for you guys so you can see here on the YouTube. Yes, the Expat Money Show. Head to briannicholsshow.com/expat, where you can find out not only for the Expat Money Forum that's going to be taking place here November 7th through November 11th, an awesome free virtual summit, but you can also figure out all the things you've ever wanted to learn about expatriation. Quote from our good friend Mikkel Thorpe: "I help people just like you to invest internationally, secure second passports and residencies, eliminate your tax bill, and take advantage of offshore structures so you can travel the world freely and never have to worry about money again." Yes, go ahead and check out the Expat Money podcast, because between now and November, you will go ahead and become as well-versed as you possibly can in all things expatriation between now and, yes, the Expat Money Summit taking place November 7th through November 11th. Head to briannicholsshow.com/expat and get your free tickets today. All right, folks, I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, we're going to talk about cryptocurrency because some folks are curious about getting involved in the world of cryptocurrency. And today we are joined by the COO and Co-Founder of one such organization that's helping pave the way, Paul Bradley. Welcome to the Brian Nichols Show.
Happy Monday. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you for joining us on today's episode. Looking forward to this conversation because, yes, I mentioned it earlier in the intro. You're helping solve a problem, or at least answering a question that's being asked by a lot of folks is, well, what if I want to go ahead and just get paid in crypto, get paid in Bitcoin, get paid in Ethereum? But before we get there, Paul, let's do us a favor. Introduce yourself to the Brian Nichols Show audience and what got you into this world of cryptocurrency over at GetHedge.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me today. My name is Paul Bradley. I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee. I am a veteran. I'm a dad. I am just a guy trying to make it in today's changing landscape. And my career path for the last 20 plus years has been in institutional banking and fintech. So I make the processes where money flows in and out, some of, to be able to pay medical bills online, to be able to pay cargo and freight from businesses, some of the things that I've been successful at the past. And what really motivated us was we recognized the changing landscape. I was involved with the bank at the time. I was very fortunate to meet up with a foundation that had unique needs. It was the Litecoin Foundation. I met a gentleman by the name of Charlie Lee and a guy by the name of David Schwartz. We did some projects together and realized, the niche we were in, I needed them, they needed me. And we did a few projects and realized where the actual need for it was. It wasn't spending your crypto like I originally thought it was. It was people wanting to purchase and protect themselves with a little bit of crypto exposure, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and such. And so we essentially built what people were telling us they couldn't find online, and we were able to put it all in place. So I'm really fortunate to be in the right place at the right time, to be working on something I'm so passionate about that people benefit from. I can't hear you.
There you go. It helps if I take myself off mute. There's always dogs walking by that happen to be barking quite frequently when I record for whatever reason. So I inevitably put myself on mute. But I was going to say, you took the words out of my mouth before I tried to jump in. And that was, you have to create value. And how important is that to create value? Because to your point, you have to actually show people that there is a tangible benefit. And part of, and let's kind of dissect right now the greater cryptocurrency conundrum, if you will. And that is, how do we get people to embrace a new way of in this case, it's really a new monetary system, if you'll think about it that way, especially for a lot of older folks too. I see a lot of pushback because of the technology itself. So how do you get people to actually start to embrace new solutions, right? And I talk about this in the world of sales when I'm teaching folks, through the sales process of simplifying the sales process, simplifying your options, giving it your customer less options, but doing so by creating more value within those options, because now you're making it easier for them to make a choice. And in this case, correct me if I'm wrong, but more or less what you guys have done over at GetHedge is now you're creating a situation where it's easier for the end user to actually get crypto started out in the world versus going out and trying to do this on their own. Now it's just a matter of not even having to go out and invest. Dare I say, a set it and forget it type of mentality.
Well, it's not only set it and forget it. So you are correct. We did make it easier to onboard and have exposure. That's one of the pieces. We feel one of the most important features that we offer that you're not going to find people necessarily talking about is we want you to use your products and your wallets and your custody. And we don't want to change anything someone's doing that already has a little bit of exposure, but we definitely want to help people understand what the strengths are that they can control in the crypto ecosystem. So we all know that Bitcoin is something, and we all have heard from a friend or a podcast like this that we all need it. But what exactly does that mean? How you get it? What is the smart way to get it? And how are you protected from not only centralized institutions like banks, but how do you protect yourself from yourself? So we think we've answered a lot of those trips and traps that people fall into. And so we add value, we add security, and then we add sovereignty to your money where typically it's all been centralized at a bank. So that's a great place to start the journey.
All right, now let's do this. I like to make things as quite literally as obvious as possible. So let's say I'm signing up at GetHedge to go ahead and actually start getting paid in cryptocurrency. Walk me through the journey. What does it look like? And what would I actually have to do with my employer? It sounds like it'd be so confusing, Paul.
Oh, those are great questions. And we made it specifically to answer those questions. So you would go to gethedge.com or gethedge.io, sign up for a free account. And to get a free account, you'll need to demonstrate you are who you say you are. We follow the banking rules. Everything we do is legitimate to protect you. And then you'll be able to, once you prove who you are and you are a US resident, you are then issued your own unique banking account and routing number. So that's as simple as setting it up. So what do you do with the banking and accounting routing number? You simply go into your payroll app or any kind of money flows, your HR, wherever that is, and you say, I would like $100 a paycheck to go to this account. And you're done. That's all you got to do. Or you can type it directly into an app. I use an app. I'm able to put money in, take money out with that app. And those are flows from payroll. And then once it goes automatically on payday, your money will go, the majority of it will go to your bank account that you pay your bills out of. We're not looking for that. This strategy is a dollar cost averaging strategy. It takes a little bit out of every paycheck, sends it to this bank account number in your name, so you maintain control and possession. At no point am I coming in contact with your funds. That's very important for you. And then it will, during the setup process, it asks you, what do you want to do with your Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum or potentially other coins coming down the road? You will say, I want them to go into my wallet. Here's my wallet address. And you're finished. So every payday, it'll say, what do you want to do with it? How much do you want to get? And where am I taking it? And it happens immediately. And it goes into your wallet, into your possession immediately. That is crucial. I can never take it from you. I can never turn off your account. The government can't make our customer support freeze accounts. It's yours. And that's the most important piece of this in a decentralized piece that a lot of companies don't tell you because they want to keep your Bitcoin. They want to keep your exposure on their platform because that's how they make their money. And we think you should be making the money, and we think you should be in control of your money.
So what's the feedback, Ben? Because I mean, this seems like such a great next step to get us to. It's almost like a natural step for somebody, like if they're comfortable with a 401k, for example, right? You're taking a tiny little bit, a fraction. It's like an office space where you take the fractions of the penny, like, you take it from the till. Oh, like for the ones for the kids, no, that's the jar. You take it from the till. Sorry, anyways, but literally this would be the means to actually help get things moving forward to this crypto future. And it makes it so you are eliminating a lot of the barriers that are normally present for people when they're trying to get engaged or involved in the world of crypto. And a lot of that is the fear, the hesitancy that builds up in trying to get involved. But also, and one thing I would love to hear your kind of, I guess, the overcome this objection I'm sure you get is, well, the cryptocurrency market, it's so volatile. Like, I mean, we just saw, especially with the stock exchange, right? We just saw that crash, but also we saw right alongside it, pretty much all crypto was going by the wayside as well. So is it really a sound investment for folks to go ahead and make such big payments from their paycheck to crypto? And if so, what is there any fail safes in place that people can go through and change the amounts being paid per month or something like that?
The quick answer there is this is not get rich quick, right? This is get rich slow. This is being able to control your own finances. If you have a lot of questions, those are good questions. I think the basis of where somebody starts is to get familiar with GetHedge, but more importantly, get familiar with the people at GetHedge. Recognize that we all are professionals. We're bound fiduciaries, that we've done this for many years, and we are trustworthy. So that's first and foremost. You got to have some faith and have some trust. And we're regulated, we're trustworthy. All of this is domestic. None of it's offshore. It's all protecting you. So that is crucial. The pricing is, and this is somewhat, it's a newer asset. So some of this is my opinion, but this opinion is based on historical precedents. So I believe Bitcoin currently is in a 4-year cycle. In 2021, that was the 4th year. So we're in a new cycle of Bitcoin. The lows will be, you're seeing some lows. We could go lower, but the strategy that we implement is called dollar cost averaging. And if you had, say, $1,000 to buy a Bitcoin or buy Bitcoin today, you could take $1,000 and just put it into the market. But statistically, you'll do better if you put $100 in a week for 10 weeks. That's dollar cost averaging. So that's a crucial piece of this. I would begin looking for returns today. If you started something with GetHedge, significant ups and downs, but the trajectory will be in about 3 or 4 years, a big balloon north. The difference being, you can take your money and put it in equity markets today, and historically you can make 8 to 10% over time, right? But when you go back and see and really understand what the US dollar has done since the 50s, it has been injected on average about 8% a year of new currency. So if you look at the current stock market and it goes up 8 to 10%, there's no new value created, none, maybe 2% if you're lucky. If you have a 30% year and then a negative 10% year, you're getting some value, but you're averaging 10%, and that's just what the money supply is coming in. With crypto, you have 10, 5, 2x times gain. Like, it is not staying to the traditional money trajectory that's coming into the market. It's engineered currency, and I would start your journey by knowing Bitcoin is a different language. You can't look at it and know what to do, just like you can't look at a Korean character and say, okay, I know what that means without understanding what Hangul is, right? You got to know the language, and it takes time. So I would recommend you start your journey with trusted partners, people that want to protect you. So do your research there, and then understand what the engineered money piece is. You can go buy Dogecoin, right? But it's not going to have the engineered inflationary pieces that a Bitcoin or a Litecoin, and then soon Ethereum is going to have. All of those have diminishing supplies or static supplies, and it all falls into supply and demand, as opposed to a currency being manipulated in the back end. And every country's currencies are manipulated right now. This is a hedge for your family.
Now, Paul, I'm curious. This question just popped up. I was thinking about this, but do you guys have any issues with the government trying to get theirs with like taxes or anything, or is it more of a situation much like a 401k where this is entirely tax-free beforehand? You're nodding your head. Okay, so yeah, talk to us about that.
So specifically taxes, I am horrible at calculating taxes. We made this specifically to not be a 401k or an IRA, because neither of those you take custody in. Those are pre-tax. Those are government programs. So if you want your government, you want your 401k in Bitcoin, that is a choice for you to have. But these are net funds coming into net pay. There's no tax due. You can spend it today. There's no tax due. If it grows in value overnight and you spend it, that's a good problem to be in, but that would be where potentially you could be. So anything you get in your wallet today, there are no taxes on. A year from now, they've doubled in value and you spend it, there is a tax liability there.
Okay, now here's a silly question, maybe, because all these questions are just popping in my head now as you're going through. So let's say, for example, I am fast forward 2 years with my, with you guys, and I want to go ahead and now turn it back into fiat. Is that possible or no?
So it is possible. We have partners that do that. That's not specifically where our niche pattern is, but we will be bringing off-ramp solutions within the next few months. So those can be just deposited directly back into your bank account in fiat. That can be put on a MasterCard. There are lots of ways you can spin it with partners. So there are opportunities. However, our most successful programs, you just kind of leave them alone. So there will be a time that you will want to get your money back. Last summer, I bought a brand new truck with a Bitcoin. I transferred it back into fiat, went to the dealership. I paid in cash. I got a discount. It's pretty awesome. So it does work. I will tell you my personal experience, because it was the first cycle that I really tested it out. There were a few moments I found the floor and I was a little nervous, and I may have turned off the lights and felt sorry for myself for a moment. It can be scary. It's unfamiliar territory. But within that same month of that occurrence, I was also jumping up and giving my wife a high five, going, holy cow, look at, so it is a roller coaster. And if you try to out-trade it and outsmart it, this is probably not the program for you, because we're not good at that. What we're good at is putting it in your possession, putting it in your savings trajectory, and being able to just leave it alone. And you don't have to do anything to it. That's the most powerful piece of it all.
Okay, so we learned about if you're just your average Joe looking to get involved with GetHedge, which again, gethedge.com or gethedge.io. But let's say, because I know for a fact that we got thousands of folks in the greater business and entrepreneurial space who listen to the program as well, who they got payrolls. So what if is there a way they can get involved from a business owner perspective?
So there is. We recently purchased or acquired a company called PayDrop. And that's the front end on the HR side. So the long-term goal, and short and long-term, are to be able to provide any kind of conversion for not 401k, but 1099 work, independent, all the different avenues we can do today. But if somebody, let's say you're in HR and somebody's saying, hey, can I get paid in Bitcoin? Do you have that program? You have two choices. You can do a centralized approach and paid like payroll and pay per module, per employee receiving it, and so forth, and be able to control it. Or just say, hey, yeah, we do. You can use GetHedge and it's automatically turned on. The company doesn't have to do anything. There's no liability. There's no tax. It's exactly the same environment today. So you can use it, and we're making more controls, but there's absolutely no reason an independent employee, an independent contractor, or a company could not implement it today.
Ooh, I like that. You love to hear it. All right, Paul. We are unfortunately already getting towards the tail end of the episode, which means we're at the part where we have the call to action. So please, with that being said, we want folks to go ahead and learn more. I've already given them the website, GetHedge.io, but I know you got some social media they can go ahead and check out. But also, you guys are doing a lot in terms of partnerships. So I know there's a lot coming down the pike. So can you give us a sneak peek behind the scenes of what's coming TBD?
So what's coming, what's already here in some areas, but we're just going to scale it and make it larger. Our payroll companies are already out implementing this stuff. So there's a company called Get Payroll, and they just have regular payroll capabilities for your company, but they can implement crypto solutions. We have filters and engines that you can get paid. Here's one. I love this one. I didn't even want to believe it at first because it's so uniquely different. But somebody wanted to get paid in video game tokens. And we laugh, right? Ha ha. But what we found out was certain video games pay people to play. These rewards are actually, you can trade them for dollars. And villages in Venezuela and Africa were playing these games during the COVID lockdowns to feed their villages. And then all of a sudden you realize how many people out there are living in the digital space that really it is a convenience to, if you're spending 5 hours a day of your free time, to already have $100 flow into your favorite game and in the native tokens. It is a convenience, and people make money from this. So the craziest stories I've heard that I think to myself, oh, that'll never work, actually start to make sense. And Bitcoin turns everything on its head.
Yeah, Web3 is going to be wild, fam. Yeah. Like, I'm so excited to see what the future is going to hold because, and I always think about this, like, we are at a point where, I can think to my grandparents and they have experienced, I mean, quite literally just the amount of transformation in the technology space. I mean, it's mind-blowing. It's very hard to fathom where we've gone from rooms, quite literally like the size of like football fields, housing computer servers, to now that equals what we have in our smartphones. This technology in our smartphones is better than what we sent people to the moon on. Like, and it just kind of blows your mind. But then you think about, okay, well, where are we going to be in 5 years, 15 years, 50 years? And you look at what you guys are doing in this Web3 space with, cryptocurrency. And in this case, we're changing the way we're doing things as a society. That's exciting because it starts to solve a lot of the problems that we see. Especially, and you mentioned this access. I mean, goodness, you're being able to help people halfway across the world that you wouldn't even consider that you're engaging with in commerce in some way, shape, or form. And yet you actually are, and you're making their lives objectively better. So it's exciting to see. Paul, thank you for all you guys are doing over at GetHedge. And folks, we'll make sure we go ahead and include all the links so you guys can go ahead and follow GetHedge, learn more. And obviously, if you are looking to get paid in cryptocurrency, well, now you have a means. And if you are looking to push your business owners to go ahead and get involved in cryptocurrency, well, now you have another avenue as well. Paul, any final thoughts for the audience today?
Well, I certainly appreciate the way you explain it. You make it even easier than I do. But if you have questions or want to tell me that you don't think it's going to work, or you have ideas for me, find me on Twitter at Satoshi South, and I'd love to hear your ideas.
Perfect. All right. Well, how about this, folks? We'll include all those links in the show notes. If you're our audio listener, all you got to do, click the artwork in your podcast catcher. It'll bring you right to today's episode over at BrianNicholsShow.com, where, yes, you can find the entire transcript of the episode, but you just look ahead at the top of the page and you can find the video version of the program. Yeah, surprise. We have the YouTubes here, so make sure you click the YouTube link. It'll bring you to youtube.com. Hit that little subscribe button so you're also, the subscribe button and a little bell. Got to make sure you don't forget the little bell so you're not missing every single time we go live. And with that being said, please go ahead and give today's episode a share. And when you do, give yours truly a tag at B Nichols Liberty. But with that being said, it's Brian Nichols signing off here on the Brian Nichols Show for Paul Bradley. We'll see you tomorrow.
For listening to the Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.